Grace, and today we're going to do a watercolor tutorial together. We're going to paint some mountains. We're doing the tutorial by @RebelUnicornCrafts, and it's a therapeutic and fun craft. So let's do it. So to start, you will need some watercolor paper. I used my bullet journal. It's made for mixed media, but you can use any watercolor paper. You will need some watercolor paints. I'm going to link some below. You don't need anything fancy, just a starter kit will work. Whatever you have works great. And you will need a watercolor brush. And if you want really clean edges, some blue painter's tape or some washi tape. I didn't use any, but you're welcome to use some if you'd like. One of the reasons that I did a tutorial instead of just drawing something that I see is because I get a lot of anxiety. You know, I have a degree in fine arts, and sometimes that's a lot of pressure, and you know, not even pressure that other people put on me. It's just pressure that I put on myself to be really good, you know, at art. And so this is just something to go back to the basics, something that you can do with one color at a time and just practice your skills. So the first step is to choose your colors. So the watercolor palettes usually come with quite a few colors. So I ended up sticking with the exact same colors that were used in the original tutorial. So I went with blue, pink, and orange. I like these because they're the same colors that you see in the natural sky, you know, in the daytime, and then as the sunset progresses. So I liked those. But you could use any kind of colors, greens, you could use whatever you like, reds, anything, and it'll give it its own unique look. So once you've picked out your colors, at this point, you would go ahead and tape off your edges if you're going to use tape. I didn't use tape, so I skipped that step. And then, so what I did start with is using a light wash of the colors that I did go with. I started by creating a light wash of 3 boxes. So we started with blue. I didn't even use a palette. I used just the other side of the case. I took a little bit, my watercolor pen has water inside of it, so I just squeezed a little bit of water out of it. And I dipped it into the paint, and then I dipped it over here to create a little puddle, and then I created a light wash. With watercolor, you always start from lightest, and then you build up your color into creating the darkest colors. Watch the original tutorial, which I highly recommend. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and go watch the original tutorial, pause this one and go watch it. But they recommend doing some clouds in the sky, so that was pretty fun. You can use cotton balls, or if you want to just leave some empty space, or use a paper towel to remove something, you can. I just left some empty space. I didn't use anything to remove. You can even, if you want to get messy, you can even use your fingers to remove some of the pigment and some of the watercolor if you like to get messy. The next step is the mountains. So we are going to create the lightest mountain in the background using what's called atmospheric perspective, which is creating the lightest and the most far away looking mountain by adding just a little bit more pigment to your puddle. You know, dip in again to your pigment into your pan, and then add some more to your puddle, and create a shade that is just a little bit lighter than what you want to end up with, but darker than your sky. And this is called atmospheric perspective because, you know, as you look into the distance, things that are further away are a little bit blurrier, they're a little bit lighter color, and, you know, they fade from your perspective into the atmosphere. And so now you have a fun fine arts term to share with your friends when you show them your art at the end. The last 2 layers, you really want to embrace the pigment. Really get into your pan and put a lot of the color in, because these are your darkest 2 layers, especially that bottom layer is going to be your most saturated colored layer, and you want it to be your darkest layer. And this is what's going to give you contrast and really create that landscape and really give it the look of the landscape. And this is what creates the final picture. You know, this is what makes the lighter layers have meaning. The last step is to add any finishing touches. You're going to remove your tape if you use tape. I didn't use any. I went ahead and added some fun splatters to kind of connect my pieces. So I added some splatters of the previous color kind of above to connect to the 3 different blocks. But you could add some birds, you could add trees, you could add some calligraphy on top. You could make it your own piece because it's now your art. You know, we've given you the resources to take this and make it your own now. And tag me if you decide to follow the tutorial, and I hope you enjoy it.